2 of apartment hunting. I thought I would give you guys a little outfit of the day. So I am wearing my Tom Cruise blazer that I wear almost every day. Just a linen cotton crinkled blazer. I'll try to find similar items and link them down below. With my Margiela button up. And this necklace that I actually got Avery for Christmas. It's from an old Margiela collection. I found it secondhand on Grailed. But I've totally stolen it back in the past couple months. STAATSBALLETT rings, my everyday black trousers, and green loafers so that I have some comfortable walking shoes. So yes, it's day 2 of apartment hunting, and I am about to head to Brooklyn now. We're staying in the East Village with our friends that are letting us stay here for a little while. So thankful. But we started apartment hunting yesterday, saw some places that were like definitely doable, but we saved our favorite places for today. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that we can find something we really like. One of the apartments I found online that I was just absolutely in love with and was a really great price, and we had stayed in an Airbnb right down the block before, has an application in already, which I am so bummed about because the broker has been leading me on about it. And I don't know, it's just one of those beautiful apartments with bay windows on a street that's just lined with those bay window 2-story apartments. And it's just like my dream to live on one of those. But it's not looking too good for that. But we are seeing a lot of beautiful places today, so hopefully they're actually beautiful in person. We're seeing some different like warehouse loft style buildings, and then we're also seeing some that sort of have bay windows, but they aren't on the bay window lined block, and just a few other places. So fingers crossed that we can find a place we like. I feel like I'm being much more picky this time around, just because I was so unhappy with my apartment last time in New York, and it was a lot more expensive than what I'm going to be paying this time, mainly because I was living alone, but still, it's just a lot more expensive. If you didn't know, Avery and I are looking for a 3-bedroom apartment with our friend, and we are going to have 2 of the bedrooms so that we have a place to store inventory and like have an office. So we'll probably make the bigger bedroom like our office, and a smaller bedroom to sleep in, because you should just only be sleeping in your bedroom, I've learned. But looking for a living space that is well lit and comfortable, and that I feel like will go with the furniture that I would ideally like in my place. Who knows if I will be able to afford it anytime soon, but you know, the style that I want for furniture, I really want the space to line up with that. So I don't know, I feel like it's moving more into like my adult home and not like my college life home. I just don't want to settle for less for once, especially after staying in so many beautiful Airbnbs that were so cheap when I was in Europe, and just like realizing that New York City is not that, but trying to make it that in some ways has been a bit of a challenge. Working on it, hoping for a place with high ceilings and great natural light like Berlin.
What do you prefer? As far as like the kitchen goes. Like ideally separate, or just enough space where you can kind of separate it. Like furniture, you know what I mean? But this we can still have some sort, even like some kind of island situation. And then just like a small something. Yeah. Bushberry. Yeah, this place is cool. I agree.
Wait, let me see you guys.
What do you think?
Mm-hmm.
Show them. Oh, no.
Which is the worst, you guys?
Bathroom. Pretty spacious for New York. Deep closet.
Let's just each bedroom can fit a king size bed. And then the bathroom has a deep soaking tub, which is really nice. The tile is real cool in there too. Let's see.
We're fine.
A couple inches. As long as you don't hit your wings, you should be fine.
Yeah, I would like to.
This is a great central area too. I rarely see apartments as directly in this area. You're real close to the Janzi, G, and not far from the L, if you want it. Right between Lindbergh and L, which is cool.
There's a lot of
There's also really good restaurants down here. This one's a
One of the bedrooms. Ooh, an air conditioner. And the window directly across is actually to our unit. So not that bad. And much more space than my last apartment. I'm taking a video. How are you? Another closet. The bathroom is actually quite spacious, and there is storage in here. And under the sink, door is a little questionable, but not the worst. Look at this bathtub though. Incredible.
double closet.
Another room. It's so big.
It's like a house, literally.
Biggest bedroom. Actually has a full window. I love all of the original touches of this building so much. The walls are actually white. If I lived here, I would run back and forth. Oh my god, there's a pantry that I just noticed. Dishwasher and oven and a big space.
Droplets on the floor? Is it one piece of chicken or two? Cool. Cool.
Hi you guys, it is a few days later. It has just been such a whirlwind since coming to New York and doing all of our apartment hunting, but we did apply for a place on Friday, which is really exciting. It was probably the only place that we visited that I could actually see myself living in, and it's also just like my dream apartment, which I just never thought would be possible in New York. But it has bay windows and it's in the most beautiful neighborhood and high ceilings and old hardwood floors and white walls and all of the old features. Oh my gosh. And amazing natural light in the living area and room for like a kitchen table. And I don't know, it's just like everything that I've wanted. So we applied, fingers crossed. It's an 18-month lease. I think we will probably be the youngest people in the building. When we were touring, I did see some people, I would guess, they were all couples, and I would guess they're in their like late 30s, early 40s. So hopefully management is okay with us being a bit younger. We had to put a deposit down on the place, and yeah, hopefully we can get approved. We have like all of the requirements met to get approved. It's just like nerve-wracking when you do freelance and like have your own business, because there's a lot more paperwork that has to be verified, rather than if you just have a normal job. You have like one piece of paper basically that says your salary, and I have to give them like so many documents to prove my salary because I get paid by a million different people. Anyways, the lease, if all goes well, actually starts November 15th and we leave November 13th. We're hoping that we can sign a lease before we leave. If not, I'm not really sure how it's all going to work out. We will have a New York apartment. So it is Avery and I and one other person, our friend Mike. If you came to our New York pop-up store, he worked at our pop-up store, so you might have met him then. There is one thing about the apartment that's not my absolute favorite, but it's like something that I'm totally gonna deal with, and it's that the kitchen isn't the prettiest. It's like, you know, brown wood, which I'm not against brown wood cabinets if they're like flat and very like Scandinavian, but these aren't. I think I'm gonna ask if we can paint them white. I've been watching a bunch of tutorials on doing that. But besides that, it's great. It has a pantry in the kitchen, which is so rare for New York, and also a dishwasher and some extra room if you want to put a table or another shelving unit, and it actually has counter space. And all those things were very crucial because I love cooking. And when I had my old New York apartment, I didn't cook very much because I had zero counter space and my oven didn't work. I'm very excited for this new place. It's like my first adult apartment, and I feel like it's so much different than my last one, which I sort of like settled for because I was living alone and I couldn't make my budget stretch too far. To give you some perspective, I paid $1,775 a month to live in a very small, dark, one-bedroom apartment high up on the Upper East Side on 93rd Street. And when I moved in, there wasn't the Q train, so it was a really long walk to the train, which made the rent a bit cheaper. It was furnished pretty quickly with mainly like cheap IKEA furniture, which there's nothing wrong with IKEA furniture. Avery and I are just looking to invest in pieces that we are actually going to have in our life for a very long time and that will actually hold some value. And that's not with every piece, but there's some chairs that we want. We really want like an arched floor lamp and a nice rug and a long kitchen table and work table that kind of act as one. So those are things that I'm looking to invest in this time around. Also, I am getting a major rent cut with this apartment because I'm living with Avery and another person, but it would be even cheaper if our business wasn't having a bedroom. Like if our business wasn't having a bedroom, I would pay like $500 a month, which is crazy. But I'm excited to separate out our inventory from my living and bedroom space like it was in my last apartment because it was just such a rack. I think we toured 10 to 12 places in total. We found pretty much all of them through Street Easy except for one loft we toured that I found on Craigslist, and the photos looked nothing like the real place, which was unfortunate. But the place did have a lot of potential. It just seemed like really dirty and not worth the money. Street Easy is definitely best for New York City in my opinion. You can sort rentals by no fee which, especially if you're looking in Brooklyn, you should not pay a broker's fee. Don't do that. I paid a broker's fee for my last apartment too. I feel like then, like a few years ago, it was harder to find an apartment without a broker's fee in my budget. But now I feel like it's more common for there not to be a broker's fee. I'd say the brokers that showed us the apartments were about like 75 to 25% bad to good. Bad meaning that they were just like really pushy, which I am really not into, you know, and I understand it's like their job. They're like trying to sell the apartment to you, and it just doesn't work on me at all. We had this one girl who was really young. I think she's younger than me, and her family was like in the business in Brooklyn. She kept like wanting to go and show Avery and I other places, so we were like, okay, like yeah, we'll just see what she has. And they were just like progressively getting worse, and she's really trying to oversell them and not understanding like what we liked and what we didn't like, because we would point out things that we didn't like at some of the apartments she was showing us. Like for example, Avery and I really didn't want to live in like a new building, especially one of the ones that look new. Just looks so like horribly gentrified, and they also just look so cheap in comparison to the old buildings. Not all of them, of course, but I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. They just kind of look like a hotel room. And something I really love about New York is all of the brownstones and townhouses and like converted warehouses. They're also beautiful, so why would you want to live in a plasticky new building? Just personal preference though. There were some places that we toured in areas that weren't the best, so we kind of instantly knew. And when we were touring apartments, we like walked in between them all. We were walking around so much back and forth between Bushwick and Bed-Stuy and East Williamsburg and Stuyvesant Heights. Those were the main areas that we were looking in. Fingers crossed that we can get this apartment and all will work out, even though it's a pretty inconvenient time to move. Avery and I are trying to figure out if we are still planning to drive here or if we're just gonna ship stuff, because the only things that are like too big to ship really are a mattress and that giant IKEA mirror that's like the best mirror ever. But Mike has that IKEA mirror, so we might be putting that in the living area. We shouldn't spend a lot of time and money on driving that up here, especially because it's only like $100 if we wanted to buy a new one, and just keep the other one at Avery's old house or sell it. And the mattress, which is something that I think that we can get replaced, and we can ship all of like our dishware and come up here in suitcases with our clothes. The only problem that I'm a bit worried about is my new side table, which I unboxed on camera for you guys not that long ago. I bought it from a local Brooklyn designer from one of their sample sales, and I was trying to get them to hold it here because I said I was going to be moving soon and they wouldn't, so I got it shipped and it's